So welcome to everyone who's joining us. This is the first InnovatED series that we're hosting at the ADIR Challenge Foundation. For those of you who are new to anything that we're doing, the ADIR Challenge Foundation, which was started post October 7th in honor of my nephew, ADIR Masika, who was killed at the Nova Festival, but really also for future generations and for all of our children, is about innovating the combat of anti-Semitism and hate. The main area of our focus is running open innovation challenges to source and vet and develop ideas and solutions to combat anti-Semitism and hate. We just finished the first phase of our competition, which was an ideation phase in May. We had over 120 submissions from 25 countries around the world. That's actually how we met Liram. Liram was one of our judges. And what we're going to be focused on today and with this series is trying to really, as with everything, roll up our sleeves and understand and take a bite out of a specific area where anti-Semitism is expressing itself. I personally was extremely interested in being able to start having conversations with people and eventually with my own children on what's happening in the dark web and what I understand is a language that I don't know anything about. I know that it exists, but I think that's probably where it ends for me. And so usually if there's something that I'm curious about, I'm assuming others are curious about it too. And so today, with your help, Liram, we're gonna, as you wrote so clearly, go down the rabbit hole and unmask anti-Semitic extremism in the digital age. So I will leave it to you. Right before, I'll just say we're gonna leave some time at the end for questions and answers. Please feel free to use the Q&A icon at the bottom to write your questions, and then I will do my best to find the ones that we can tackle today, and the ones that we can't, we'll do it the next session. So over to you.
So, hey, all of you. I'm very glad to be here with you and to talk with you about this very, very important topic of anti-Semitism online. And so it's written here, I'm the head of the Anti-Semitism and Global Far-Right Extremism Desk at the International Institute of Counterterrorism. I'm a visiting fellow at Yale University and at Brandeis University, and I've lectured at Yale as well. So it was a very interesting experience to try and teach anti-Semitism students who are not necessarily Jewish. I think that I studied a lot, as they studied a lot from this experience. And I have many interns who are working with me, and I teach them how to monitor all kinds of boards, far-right extremist boards online, including the dark web, of course, in order to try and understand what's going on in there. What are they doing? What are they playing? How are they collaborating with one another? If it's more local, if it's more global. And for this lecture, I've selected a few key points to really illustrate the extent of the danger posed by these people. And all the materials that you'll see today based on monitoring that I've conducted on far-right boards. So I will start by saying that in the past, before the internet era, anti-Semitic propaganda, such as blood libel, for example, was disseminated through written materials or through word of mouth. But with the advance of the internet era, the dynamics have shifted. And today, the challenge really lies in the fast spread of propaganda and fake news. And it's really facilitated by advanced technology. So within minutes, the content can reach a global audience and contributing to the significant amount of protests and anti-Semitic incidents against Jewish people on a global scale. And compounding this issue is the fact that young people are proficient in technology. They spend countless hours on social media platforms. They play video games, for example, and it makes them really vulnerable targets for propaganda, for radicalization. some of them may become more radical, and some of them can continue spreading this propaganda even without holding extreme ideologies or without fully understand the context of everything. So it's essential to recognize that this problem impacts countries worldwide. It impacts the Jewish population, it impacts Israel, and it makes it basically a matter of global concern. So we must think of solution. And let's talk a little bit about the data. So I took what you see here from the 2023 year-end report. It was written by the Israeli Ministry of the Diaspora. And these are numbers that show the increase of anti-Semitism in general, the increase in anti-Semitism in social platforms and in campuses. So you can see that since October 7th, okay, and we have only 2 months, so the anti-Semitism incidents increased dramatically. In 2023 alone, we see the increase of anti-Semitism compared to 2022, more than 200%. And then you can see the breakdown between USA and Europe, of course. And when we move to talk about social media platforms, there was, again, more than 200% increase in anti-Semitic content and more than 1,000% increase in posts containing violence and call to harm Jews. So we can add to that the situation in campuses, as we all know, is not good. Jewish people really feel unprotected. So in the USA, there was 700% increase in the number of anti-Semitic incidents since the beginning of the war. You can see it right here. So as you will see in the lecture, really social media platforms have power. It significantly influences those who consume these contents, and especially when we talk, of course, about young people who just stay on with their computer and plays and do everything online. Just really brief in few sentences. So I'll explain the difference between far right and far left anti-Semitism. So when we talk about the far right, we talk about classical anti-Semitism. So you can see that the caricature I just put, these Jews with the big nose who control the world. In the far right mentality, Jews are really viewed as people that pretending to be white, but they are liberal in their social views. They support racial equality, globalization, immigration, all the things that far right really, really hate, okay? And it's really brief thing. When we talk about the far left, we usually speak about anti-Zionism. So the far left usually feel solidarity with oppressed minorities. And the problem is they see the Jews as oppressor. They think about the Jews as involvement in capitalism. They think about solidarity with Palestinians in the Israel-Palestinian conflict. So they think about the Jewish people, even people in the diaspora, US, Europe, all over the world, as a group that hold a set of pro-Israel views. So they hold all Jews collectively responsible for Israel's actions. And that's what's so hard about anti-Semitism. Now, from October 7th, I've started to see that far right and far left just gain more power and they can collaborate. And that's a huge danger. So I would like to take you to a journey. And before we will start it, I would like to show you a very short video.
Do you want to know what it is? The matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
that you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I guess most of you know the movie Matrix. And that's exactly what far-right extremists does. They treat all of us as normies, as the one that takes the blue pill, and they want to red pill us. They want us to become and possess the same ideology that they possess. So part of the ideology is hate of Jewish people. Very important to understand this term. When we talk about the internet, we can say that we have 3 levels. So we have the surface web. It's only 4% of the entire web. Okay, this is really nothing. Then we have the deep web. That's where we need the password in order to get in. So our financial records, even our social media profiles, academic database, everything that needs the password is part of the deep web. Then the dark web is the deepest layer of the web. It's inside the deep web, but here we can't use regular browser. We need a special browser, such as the Tor browser that I use when I'm trying to monitor the dark web. And we used to see these extremists on mainstream social media, such as, Facebook, Instagram, all these places. But as these platforms have become more regulated, these extremists started to migrate to alternative platforms that are usually unfamiliar to many, including, of course, the dark web. And among other things, they try to spread propaganda, to radicalize others, okay, to blue pill them, to recruit individuals, and even to carry out attacks in the cyberspace and in the real world. You can see here, okay, when we address online anti-Semitism, one of the main challenges is really to balance between freedom of speech and regulation. And you see they're writing like, we're done with Instagram, we need more platforms where we can speak freely. Go to, okay, this is an alternative channel that they're asking people to join. So they understand and they want to find some spot that they can speak freely. So we have to balance it all the time, especially when we are talking about intelligence bodies, about security agencies, and more. I just wanted to show you, so the dark web just look like that. You can see many threads. Each one can just reach the thread he wants. He can post whatever he wants, and he will stay completely anonymous. No one can know your true identity when you are on the dark web. That's what these people think about all of us. As you can see, the Jewish system is the greatest threat to the survival of white people. Police are employed by the system to protect. Of course, it's a conspiracy theory, right? Elections exist to keep you invested in the system. Again, that's what they believe. And look here about them. Voting will not remove them. Okay, this line, it's not an innocent line. We're talking here about accelerationists, about very, very radical people that believe that only strength, only violence will lead them to achieve their interests. So remember this line, voting will not remove them. After October 7, we know that each radical ideology may have different goals, but they share a common thread of hatred through the Jews. So white supremacists, for example, just aim to destroy the current social order and replace it by a different social order that will align with their own beliefs, a world that will be dominated by the white race and the absence of Jewish presence. So the instability that created by this war between Israel and Hamas really fits their goals. So, for example, you can see far-right boards. You can see here what they said, right? But I'm supposed to feel bad when they rape the Jews. So it's really bad to hear that. You can see total kaik death, okay? Kaik mean Jewish people. And then look here. So they're saying total kaik death again. They're saying numbers, right? It's not the correct numbers because look at the date. We are talking about October 8th, before we understood the actual numbers. And then what they are saying here, we need to reach the number 1488. It's not an innocent number. The number 14 is a very, very central slogan that was coined by white supremacists. And the number 88 stands for Heil Hitler. Okay, so we are talking about Nazis that write this post. You can see the hashtag, okay, TKD. If you won't know this, okay, you'll think it's innocent, but now you know TKD means total kaik death, okay? And they're talking about end Jewish supremacy. Without it, you'll see TKD, you won't understand the meaning, but now you can understand it. So far-right extremists have openly declared their intention to exploit the Hamas attacks to establish a new anti-Semitic movement and introduce a cryptic symbol that you see here. The symbol is designed to be discreet, so people will not understand it, with the aim to making it sufficient known only to these people. So if you'll attend, for example, a protest, you'll see someone holding this picture, someone put shirt like that. It's not innocent. You'll understand now the symbol. It's meant to be the new swastika. You can see it even here at the name of the thread. Look at the date, okay? I monitored this post in 2019. What it says, I used to think that the meme Hitler did nothing wrong was a joke until I watched an eye-opening 6 hours, remember this time, 6 hours documentary, which outlined the true story of Hitler's rise and events through World War II. See, that's the name of it, the greatest story never told. Remember this name, the name and the number of hours. Okay, so this person watched this video. He was radicalized by watching this video and even asked, why didn't they teach us these facts in school? That's why these extremists even prefer to do homeschooling, because they believe that the youth indoctrinated by liberal values and they don't want them to be indoctrinated by that. By the way, when I'm saying radicalization, it refers to the process of indoctrination that people will start when they live their regular life. And then at the end of the process, they can even reach the violent stage. So see here, for example, in this post, look at the date, it's after October 7th events. So these people, they have various strategies to radicalize people, normies, okay, the blue pill, we say, who do not hold their own ideology, by migrate anti-Semitic content from alternative platforms to mainstream platforms, such as TikTok, X, even LinkedIn and other platforms. because they want to gain as much exposure as possible. So here, for example, they teach how to open fake accounts and how to post in reply section. You can see that they really write it, right? We need to aggressively push what they push, red pills. Now you understand red pills, what it means on TikTok, Twitter, and any others that allow it. Okay, using fake, you know what it is, accounts. And they explain exactly even how to open these accounts, what to do, how to red pill. They want lots of red pills. And here they say, again, TKD. I hope you remember the name of the documentary that I told you to remember. So look here, for example. They use the same campaign to try and target a specific audience. So they're writing, for example, someone should make 1 minute long video. You remember the movie is 6 hours. 1 minute long video of the greatest story never told and upload them to TikTok and YouTube Shorts. So imagine what will happen to teenagers who just come across this kind of movie that can radicalize them. Okay, that's the problem. And here they're talking about the fact that they need even to infect Black online spaces to hate the Jewish people, and they explain exactly how to do it. Now, one of the major issues is that this content reach a large audience that could undergo radicalization, even if they do not intentionally and they don't belong to the same ideological side, right? Even if you're far left, you will consume this content. And as a result, some of these individuals may believe that this content, it's true, it's not fake news, and go through a radicalization process, leading them to seek out like-minded people in the real world, such as in the process that we've seen on campuses. And by the way, these I took pictures of it. It was in Yale campus, these pictures. So as I said at the beginning, radicals using technology in unexpected ways, and that's a growing concern. And one such example is the way they use platforms that were created for video games, because they understand, as we all understand, that video games interest millions of people, especially young people, who often engage in gaming tournaments. And then they take the advantage of these platforms and implement radical content, including anti-Semitic propaganda. They just want to try and drag users into the rabbit hole. So these players may unknowingly come across this kind of content while they participate in video game, and they continue spreading it. Another issue is that violent video games can desensitize people to violence and potentially leading them to initiate harmful actions in the real world. So here, for example, you can see that's a video game called Crusader Kings, and they're saying, but the best part, there is an option to expel the Jews from your land. Okay, and they're talking and they're explaining how to join video games, what is the potential bonus of video games platforms. Okay, so you should know, kids playing video games, but we all be aware of what are they playing and in what places are they playing. And the extremists also share operative information. One of the things is printing a weapon with a 3D printer. And they share really guides that explain how to print a weapon. And they share, you can see diagrams that make it very possible to print it. You can see the PDF that they are sharing. It's downloadable, it's very easy to do it. They even explain and they share knowledge of how to make ammunition using equipment that's available at home. Okay, so each one of us can come across these kind of things if we will know what to look for and where to look for. So one of the main goals of these people is to use violence, and we consider attempts to carry out real-world attacks, and people who commit these attacks called assassins. So here we can observe a message board published on the dark web. It was displayed and shows how many points each mass shooter received In the 5th place here, you can see Robert Bowers. He was the one that conducting a mass shooting, killing 11 people in Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh in 2018. And that was the deadliest attack on Jewish people in US history. So for them, just a game. Over the next 4 slides, you'll see few posts out of many written by the same individual, I believe, because that's the dark web, completely anonymous, as you remember. And I've been monitoring it and for really several weeks. So I believed this person supposed to be a lone wolf and wants to commit an attack. You'll see the language that they use. It's not video games, it's the real world. And that's the thing, that the language of video games really serves them as a covert means of communication. So you see, I want to write an autobiography before I play Minecraft. It's a story of suffering. Would any of you read it? Okay, yes, I'll read. Of course, it's not innocent, it's a manifesto. And it's not Minecraft, it's the real world. And then here I'm getting a really good picture of how I can defeat the invaders in Minecraft. Again, not Minecraft. Red pill, again, you see this word, red pill, on location-based identification, because he wants to do something against what he called till now invaders. So he wants to know why, when PvP Minecraft session, person versus person, words taking out of video games. Breivik, he was a lone wolf. He made a huge attack in Christchurch, if you remember. But here, okay, you see, now we understand who is the target. The target is the Zog. The Zog means Zionist occupation government, the Jewish people. That is how white supremacists call the Jewish. It reflects their belief that the US government is controlled by the Jews. And here you see, they're talking about merchants and merchants' cathedrals. So merchants means Jewish people, and I will let you think of what is merchant cathedrals. And that's the goal, to target merchant cathedrals. Even now, after October 7th, so October 13, a global day of jihad was declared by Hamas terror organization. And there you can see a call to action that's really encouraging people to shoot in their local synagogue. These people not only aim to carry out attacks in the physical world, but also desire to instill fear among Jewish individuals in the online world. So one of the tactics that you see here called doxing, and it's release of personal information about individuals that they see as their enemies, and including their phone number, address. You can see here all you can see here the kids and the wife of this person that they wanted to target. They said that he's a kike, and what is he? By the way, he is in the board of Yale University. I just found out a few days ago. And here they began to offer money to individuals who will carry out this attack. Of course, they censored the information, so you won't see, but everything is open to everyone. Another method that they're using to instill fear is organizing raids, where offensive content is posted on individual social media profiles, and raids are coordinated to begin at a specific time, and it's typically announced by individual that's leading the raid, the person that has many followers, and they conclude at a certain time. They often involve many participants, and it looks like that, what you see here. It's really like nasty things that are written on individual or organizations' social media platforms. So you can see here they wanted to raid the Hanukkah live stream. So then they're saying, for example, we are everywhere, go team go. They wanted the participants will be afraid of them. And that's it on an Israel Instagram page. I would like to show you a video. I know it's not an easy one by the content, but it's an important one. And I want you to witness the individual, okay, the person here that holds the knife, and he targets a random Jewish teenager. They engage in a conversation with the aim to achieve the Snapchat details of this young boy to initiate a raid. And this person who has many followers, he live streamed the conversation, and he wanted to allow the followers to watch and to participate in the raid afterwards. And it's important to say that this person wants to really instill fear. So even if the raid will not be success, still this boy will be afraid of him. The chats that you see, it's only the followers of this person, of the person who holds the knife, can see. So this kid cannot see, okay? He cannot see the inner chat that you'll see. And I have to say that Omegle, it's kind of app. After I come across what they are doing with it, I said to my kids, and two of them are like grown-ups, they're 16, I told them that I will never, ever allow them to upload this app. It's super dangerous, and you'll see why. I would like you to try and read and try to listen. And I cut it so short, okay? It was about 5 minutes. So really, I made it short.
Is that really your social media?
You think? Yes, it is.
Indeed, really?
Huh? It's my old Snapchat. I still use it sometimes. You. But okay, listen. I think being homosexual.
You guys got it? You guys got it? You guys got it? All right, cool. We got it. Bye. Bye. I was just trying to keep them talking until you guys got it.
Hi, are you a YouTuber?
You guys got him? Go to work, guys.
Did you guys got him? Go to work, guys. Go to work means start the raid. So not just he intimidated this boy. Now they will start to write nasty things on his board. All right, that's really bad for this young boy. So you see what they're doing, and they understand how important social media is, but they understand that people are after them. Intelligence bodies, securities, even people from academia that can see them if we know where to monitor and what to do. So they try to come up with solutions to evade AI. And what you can see here that they're trying to use encrypted speech and change the way they write the words to make them harder to detect. So you can see, for example, that they're saying, okay, and by the way, the first post that you see here, it was written really after we saw this potential attacker that I just showed you. So they're writing that they would have been alerted 2 weeks ago, keep up your OPSEC, don't reveal the true identity, type differently than you normally would, okay? The kikes, again, the Jewish people are spreading information about possible terrorist attack. You understand now why. And, okay, so type differently. So you can see here the second post, you see Plebit. That's a name, it's not Plebit, it's Reddit. Or for example, they're writing 4chan with a star, okay, but it needs to be an A. Or the way they write Muslims, you see here what they write. Okay, so it's not only they're using video game words, they're using a different language. They're even typing differently. So AI machine even would not be able to really see what they're up to. And so what I presented until now is the danger posed to Jewish people by extremists. But now the question is, what are the possible solutions? And the problem is that there is not one magic solution. I do not believe that it's possible to put the genie back to the bottle and really eliminate anti-Semitism. And even when the war ends, it won't be possible. So we need to be creative. We need to think, I believe, outside of the box. And I think that the first thing is education. We really must influence the younger generation, which is the next generation of leaders in the world. And there are really various ways to achieve this. But additionally, it's so important to think about technological solutions. And that's why I really believe that the ADIR channel, the initiative, is so important. So I would like to briefly present to you 3 proposals that were submitted in the competition, in ADIR challenge competition, and connected to topics that I've discussed. And what you can see here, it's a proposal to create an AI that will help to identify early signs of online anti-Semitic radicalization by analyzing social media for hate speech, for radical content. So imagine this lone wolf potential attacker I just showed you. Imagine that there was an AI that would help to really see what he is up to and just stop him or stop people in the way to radicalization, so they won't be able to finish the radicalization process. So one of the targets of anti-Semitic extremists is really to spread anti-Semitic propaganda in mainstream platforms. Okay, that's what I try to show you, such as TikTok, for example, because it's really popular among young people. And this dashboard that you see is designed to tackle anti-Israel and anti-Semitic narratives on TikTok, and it helps monitor and respond to these narratives. So AI technology just categorized content that related to Israel or to Jewish people in videos. Videos, for example, about boycotts, about protests, things like that. And then people can be able to identify the number of videos that are related to it. So what people are published about. And then it even offer, like I will call it in my jargon, counter-narratives campaign. So people will be able to understand what hashtag to put, how to tackle it, what to do. Truly important thing. We talk about campuses. And really since October 7th, Jewish students on campus, especially, I think, in the United States, just feel unsafe. So one of the key issues is the lack of communication between campuses. And that's why we can't share crucial information, we can't share experience, we can't tell to students, you can't go now to this and this place because it's dangerous, there is a protest, someone can attack you. And there really not centralized system to track anti-Semitic incidents across campuses. So these proposed solutions aim to develop a technological platform for global campuses awareness. And then imagine that students can report anti-Semitic incidents in real time. They can locate ongoing protests, they can connect with peers, they can ask for help, they can collaborate on campaigns against anti-Semitism. I really think about it as kind of ways of against anti-Semitism, not in traffic, let's say. And another important advantage of a ADIR challenge is the integration that can be made between different proposals. Because imagine there are so many people, so many teams, they do not know each other. They're coming up with such a wonderful solution, but sometimes we can try and combine between few solutions. So for example, a separate proposal just suggests distress watch for students to signal when they need help. But then the question was, okay, from where will we have the database for this watch? Who will be wearing this watch? How will we know who needs this watch? And if we will have, for example, and we will go with this proposal, for example, of this technological platform, that can be our database for the watch. So everyone that will be part of this solution will be able to wear the watch and will be able to ask for help. And it's so important. Imagine that one of my students came and said he has friends and he was locked in his room. He was afraid to go out of his room in the dorms. He texted them. They're not Jewish, the other friends. They didn't want to come and help him. They said that they want to keep themselves out of this war. He was so disappointed. He wanted to continue be their friends because he felt that otherwise he won't be friends on campus, but he just needed help. So he was stuck few hours in his room. Imagine that you have watched like that. He could have called other people to come and help him. So I really try to show you that online anti-Semitism and radical content are rise, and they pose a potential threat to Jewish people, to Israel, to communities around the world. And it's so important that we promote global cooperation. We have to try and think of tools like education, like technology, to effectively confront and combat this urgent threat. So thank you so much. And I would love to hear your questions. And I'm really sorry for running. I just wanted to share so many things. We didn't have enough time, so.
Thank you very much. I mean, I have a lot of questions, and maybe I'm going to start with a few. First of all, physically in my body, I'm feeling extremely uncomfortable. And I'm sharing that because I think that it's overwhelming, first of all, to see a world that I didn't know existed, but also like super fearful for my children. And as part of that fear, my automatic response is, what are we going to do about this? This seems like such a world that we are so distant from. And obviously being the co-founder and the CEO of a challenge that's looking to innovate, even so, and even though I see lots of different ideas and lots of submissions, and I'm thinking to myself, like, are we actually going to be able to confront this? I mean, how many legs that we can see versus that we can see does this monster have? And are you surprised? And that's going to be my first question. But as someone who's so experienced and who's paying attention to this space all the time, are you surprised with how sneaky this world is? And even you seeing things, say, I can't believe that it's at that level.
So I think that after many years I do it, it's not something that surprised me, but I am surprised from the hate against Jewish people since October 7th. And that's the huge, huge danger, because I knew that they exist, but really I didn't understand how much they hate us. People from the far right, people from the far left, of course, radical Islamists, these extremists, they hate the Jewish people. And they will try all the time to come up with solutions. They are very experienced in technology, exactly as we are. So we have to be one step forward all the time in order to, achieve what we want to achieve.
I'm going to pause on my own questions and go to the questions that are coming that came. One of the questions is, what percentage of anti-Semitism is coming from neo-Nazis? And I don't necessarily think we need like the exact number, but in general, can you give us a broad stroke answer on that?
Huge percentage. I know that usually people say, wow, she's talking about the far right, but the far left is the noisy one. And that will be the answer. The far left is really noisy. But I truly believe that we can change the mind of far left people. We can make them less anti-Semitic people. We can make them less anti-Zionist people, while we can change the mind of far right people. They hate us because of our biology, because of our race. We can't change the fact that we are Jewish people. We were born Jewish, and that's it. Even if, we will convert, they won't treat us as we want to. And that's why they possess such a huge danger. These are so many white supremacists. I see so many boards, like dozens of boards with terminology of people that just hate Jewish people. And the problem is that they affect other people as well.
So you, as far as, I'm just going to follow up with that, as far as looking at it through resource allocation, right? Where do we place, or where should we place capital? Where should we place efforts? Where should we, as what you said about education, be focusing education on? It's very clear to you what areas are potential for influence and which areas aren't.
So it will be, when we are talking about the online, of course, it will be places for young people, such as TikTok, such as Instagram. Lots of white supremacists and neo-Nazis over there. We have a problem with Twitter, because now when Elon Musk bought it, he just opened again the accounts of people that were closed before. So there we have a problem. Really, and they're saying about it, and they're talking about it, and they're asking one each other and encourage themselves to go back there because they want to red pill people, they want to radicalize people. So that will be one place. And then outside these areas, as high schools, for example, universities, these are really important places because people not gaining their education only from, in online places, but schools as well. So I guess public schools will be a really good place to go into.
The other question is if you see similar pattern between the vilification of all Muslims post 9/11 and the vilification of all Jews post October 7th. Is there a similarity between how Muslims after 9/11 were vilified and how Jews post October 7th are vilified, right? And do you think that it's a lack of education, ignorance, or what that leads to as far as discrimination and rights abuses? But let's just start with.
It's a really interesting question. And from what I see, really, that's my personal view. I believe that it's much worse after October 7th for us as Jewish than it was after September 11th for the Americans. One reason is that it happened in the United States. People that were shocked about it were mostly Americans. When it comes to Jewish people, people just love to hate Jewish people. They love to admire the Palestinians, the David, while they see us as Goliath. So all the world is interested in what's going on after October 7th. It's not only the US, it's really everyone. Plus, it's very interesting that many far right, for example, after what happened in the Twin Towers, said that it was made by Jewish people. The Jewish people were the one who stand behind it. It's not really Al-Qaeda, it's not really Muslims, that's the Jews. So every time when it comes to attack, it comes to something, they will blame the Jewish people. And that's why it's really bad when we talk about us.
As someone who sees all of this, I mean, it's a pretty dark world that you live in, I have to say. I didn't know before how dark it was as far as what you see. So you must have developed some very thick skin. I'm just curious now, as someone who was a judge, was it a breath of fresh air for you? Was it like, what was the experience like as a judge at the ADIR Challenge to start seeing some of these new ideas and solutions come out personally for you, who's so involved in experiencing the dark web?
That's such a good question. That's exactly what I thought to myself before starting to judge it, before I got all the proposals. And I really came into it and said, okay, what will I see? And I have to say that while, some of the proposals were not very good, because when I read it, I can understand what will affect people and what will not affect people, what kind of tools will not affect, but some of them were brilliant and could affect so many people. Some of them is like what I just showed. There were many others. So some try to think really small, not creative enough. But when we think creative, when we think outside of the box, I really believe that some are so smart, can help us, to detect what happens in the online. There are so many Jewish around the world that just wait to be a force that beats these extremists online, but they need someone to guide them. They need someone to explain them how to do it. It doesn't, it's not enough that they will tell them, oh, you have to report a Twitter, you have to report Facebook. No, they need to do so much more than that. So if we will have tools, I really believe that we have an army.
Yeah, I think it's so important to be learning about this, even though it's a very tough conversation to have. And as we're speaking, I'm assuming that everyone can see the questions in the chat, and it's an anonymous question, so I'm not going to pay too much attention to, and if I'm understanding it correctly, it's a question that's asking about Israel using sonic weapons against Palestinians. This isn't a conversation about Israel, and it's definitely not a question about their use of weapons. So I'm going to, unless you want to re-ask the question in a way that's relevant for this conversation, I'm going to ignore that. Liram, I'm wondering, as you prepare for the next semester and the next, the fall semester of teaching, what are you anticipating the summer has done as far as preparing for the fall? What do you anticipate the far right and the far left? Are they doing their homework, or what are your thoughts about that?
For sure, they're doing their homework. For sure, it will have to do with what happens between Israel and Hamas. If we will stay in Rafah, if we won't stay in Rafah, if we will have like we will have our hostages back, we won't, because people they do not care about what happened in the north, for example. You're going to know against Hezbollah, against other proxies of Iran. They really do care about the Palestinians. People are really, I believe, lack of education when it deals with Palestinians. And of course, they will blame all Israelis, as I said. And by the way, it doesn't even matter if the Israelis that were killed are really and truly wanted peace. It doesn't matter. So it has to do with what's going on. I know that they're preparing for the next semester. They said it. I think that the situation in campuses becomes so much worse. In one of the universities, for example, so one of the movements, like the pro-Palestinians movement, just published in July summer camp in the university. And the picture was with people who wear kafia and hold guns. I don't think that something like that can be authorized by universities. So I believe that the universities has to do their homework as well. I mean, if a place, for example, like Cambridge, really encourage that every student who come in the fall, every new student who come will take anti-Semitism workshop, as they said that people need to do. But then when they have something, professor will just sit and laugh. That's a problem, because that's what students see. Again, that's the double standards, right? We want to be and to look nice, but it's not what we are. And that's part of the education, because even this professor needs to understand what to do and how to do. And for sure, and that's what I see, these extremists talk a lot about the campus. They talk a lot about the student, the fact that they want to red pill them, they want to radicalize them. So out there.
So maybe, and I see the clarification by whoever wrote the question, that the question was about teachers teaching that in schools in Australia, which so maybe I'll just rephrase the question as I understand it to be, which is the role of teachers, right? Specifically, this person is asking about Australia, but the role of teachers as facilitators of teaching or propelling, for facilitating forward some of the conspiracy and some of the other things that you taught us today. What is your take on the role of those teachers? And I guess if there's something that can be done about it.
They have such an important role. And that's why I said that we have to educate. I know that it's hard with private schools, but the public education, because in my second hand, I'm expert on military ethics. So, and normative ethics, what you can do, what you can't do during the war. I think that even these kind of things are things that are not facilitated enough. People really do not understand how Israel fights and what Israel does. On the second hand, people do not understand what anti-Semitism is. There is even not one definition for anti-Semitism. So I believe that if someone would come up with something like a syllabus for public schools around the world, with cultural adaptation for each one of the places, right? Because Australia is really different. And by the way, there are so many far-right extremists in Australia. It's one of the most radical countries. And some of them can even salute freely in some of the places. So, and they do it. So if, you know, we can come up with ideas for a syllabus that will teach in a very gentle way what anti-Semitism is, what are the roots, what is the difference between anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, why it not goes together, what is Zionism, like everything, I truly believe. And of course, it can't help to everyone, but even if we will teach, and we don't have even to teach the students, we can teach the teachers. So even if we have 100 teachers, out of them, we will reach 10 teachers that will understand it. But these 10 teachers will teach so many students. And these students will teach their friends. I believe it is a solution. It's a starting of a solution.
It is. I want to, first of all, thank you very much for not only taking the time to educate us, but for being our partner in the ADIR Challenge and at the foundation, for thinking with us about how to innovate in education and how to evaluate tools to see that they're actually integratable into the world that we're seeing. And even though it's a very difficult topic, it's really important for us to be able to have this conversation. And I'm so grateful to be leading the foundation that's trying to source and develop and executing on that, and to have you as a part of it is extremely important. So thank you. And also to you for joining us. We are happy to be doing this together to talk about the world of the problem, but also not to forget to talk about the world of the solutions. And feel free to reach out to Liram or to us and talk more about how you can hear more about it, or have us have one of these Zooms or an in-person lecture about this topic in your neck of the woods. Australia might be a bit far, but we'll get there at some point. We're doing a lot of work with Australia right now, and looking forward to doing more. We had a few people from Australia submit solutions to the challenge, and even had someone win an honorable mention from Moriah High School in Australia. So signing off for now. Liram, thank you very much. And
thank you for having me.
We have a lot of work to do.
Doing this important thing, really an important mission. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Till next time.
Thank you.